Because you're scary. Hey guys, it's Sign Duo here. Yeah. Wow, that was a long time ago. I was very nervous, but just to meet you. I was nervous to meet you. The deaf thing, like you being deaf, didn't really faze me as much. It made you more interesting. I wasn't really intimidated by the signing because some of my friends were learning sign language already. They were taking class, actually in your class, remember? But they had such a positive experience with sign language that they shared with me that feeling of like positivity and like how sign language is very interesting, and there's deaf people in their classes. I was really interested in you, and that's why I was so nervous. Signing, I thought, oh, it's okay. We'll figure it out. Yeah, because I like you. Yeah, that has been going on since like when I was learning too. A lot of people learning, they were so nervous to sign with deaf people because I think they're so focused on signing and getting the signs perfect. Don't want to mess up and say something wrong, because there's a few like I think stories going around that somebody signed and said a bad word instead, or there was a miscommunication and offended somebody, and a lot of people are like, I don't want that, so they don't even try. Luckily I didn't have any like experiences like that or learned anything negative starting learning the language. Everything was super like encouraging and just out of love and love for people. This is printed very blurry. I have a question because something happened that discouraged me from wanting to learn sign language. In my local post office, there is a clerk who is deaf. She uses a board to have people show her what they need. I wanted to be friendly, so I learned the alphabet and other beginner signs so that when I saw her, I could say, hello, thank you, have a nice day, and a few other things. And she got so mad at me. Instead of reacting positively, which I stupidly hoped for, she pounded the board for me to just point to what I needed. And I felt so disheartened that I stopped trying. My son, who is 29, asked me if I'd like to take sign language class with him. To be honest, before that happened, I would have jumped at the offer. But now I'm worried. Do deaf people normally react this way? It brings to mind the whole cultural appropriation thing. Or is learning and communicating with sign language a positive thing to do? What do you think? Should I try again? I don't want to make anyone angry or feel like I'm taking something that isn't mine. What do you suggest? Thank you in advance. She's like, Mm, it can be easy to kind of get excited when you see a deaf person, because if you're learning sign, you get a chance to like use the language, the new language you're learning. It can be exciting. But deaf people are, living their life every day. They might not match your energy that same day, because everyone has their bad days and good days. So sometimes that feeling of excitement isn't reciprocated. Not because you're learning sign or anything, it's just that maybe that person had a bad day. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not because you're trying to learn sign language at all. It's not because of that. It's just that, like hearing people or any people, everyone has different personalities. Not all deaf are the same. That's a good point. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's a job. And the job, the priority is not to teach new signers new signs, or to, practice sign language with people. Their priority at that time is to work. Mm-hmm. There's just a place and time for it. And shouldn't you take a sign language class? What do you think? With your son? Yeah. What do you think? I mean, it's a great opportunity to learn a new language and to learn about deaf culture too. And remember, if you do meet a deaf person, stay open to being able to like adapt to the way they want to communicate. All deaf people communicate in different ways, and that's okay. Just keep on trying. Keep on trying. Don't let any person's reaction, discourage you or dishearten you. Dishearten you. Yeah, just don't get discouraged. There's this great thing you're learning sign language.